Space Coconut.
Okay, so a couple of days ago, I was watching a Tru3Talent video, and I like watching him because he has a few different perspectives on things. I don't take what he says too seriously, and I don't really make a big deal if he makes a mistake or just whatever. But some of the attitude that comes out, and I don't care. The guy can do whatever he wants, right? However, in this particular video, he played as the Hag, and he was giving some questionable advice. Now, as a Hag main, I couldn't ignore it. He has such a big audience, and he has so many people watching him that I think it's important to correct him in this matter. So today, we're just going to talk about the advice that Tru3Talent gave in this regard, and how to play Hag, and how it doesn't match up with how he was playing, and how ineffective it actually is. We're not going to be bashing him or anything like that. I just want to clarify some of his statements and kind of make it clear that you really shouldn't listen to this particular advice. So let's get into this.
Alright, so the way to play Hag, obviously not this build, but the playstyle. The way to play Hag is kind of random with your traps at the start. You want to go for places where you think they'll go, and then you want to go for places where they potentially will. Okay.
This is not a good idea as a Hag player. While you can place like a few traps randomly, like maybe you're out in the middle of nowhere and there isn't anything around you, like you're on rotten fields or whatever, yeah, place a random trap, whatever. But Tru3Talent has been playing this game long enough to know survivors go to pallets. Survivors go to vaults. They go to loops. They go to the shack. They go to the basement. They take certain travel paths to and from generators. They use certain structures certain ways. You don't want to be random with the Hag unless you don't have a plan. If you don't have a plan, get one if you're playing as the Hag. The reason is because the Hag is not a chasing killer. You want to be able to hit survivors utilizing your traps. So I'm going to cut together all of his hits, and we're going to count how many of those he just ran up and chased survivors down and hit, and how many of those actually used the Hag's traps to gain the hit. And then we're going to also talk about the ones that he missed.
And then, boom. You see? You don't want to chase too much. Is this the unsafe one? Oh. You see how that random trap just got him there? That's why I kind of randomized the traps. You see how slow I am though? That's why you don't chase ages. You injure, and then you go away. Push him, push him. Damn, he's not... Nope, oh, yes! Damn, had him. There we go, get him still. Go. Push him, push him. See, look. Now that's there. Never injured. Oh, there's the thing. No. Nah, whatever. Traps. Do you make... You don't make that window again, do you? You do you? No, down. That's gonna be a double whammy in it. Boom! She's on it. To it. You don't have Stream Burst anymore. I had that there ages ago. Pretend that I'm there, but really I'm at the pallet. Should be another free hit. Well, he's probably down to me. Push it this way. Will she go through the window? She will. Now we've got 5 traps to play around. Hey, 5 traps to play around with. There's another one popping. There we go. Perfect. Super down. This is unsafe. I'll get you here. Okay, I don't think you make that though, unless you have dead hard. No, you don't. Okay.
In that match, he chased and hit a survivor 14 times. He utilized the Hag's teleport and hit a survivor 9 times. Now, 2 of those regular hits were teleports that he didn't take, that he probably could have gotten a hit if he teleported, or at least gotten the hit earlier. He ended up getting the hit, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And now, the reason why this is important is because no, the hag is not a chasing killer, and if you're chasing and hitting survivors more often than you are hitting them after a teleport, then your trap placement is bad. And this is the problem with placing random traps. If you're placing a random trap, there's no guarantee that a survivor is going to trip that trap. Another example of the faultiness of this strategy is the amount of time you see none of his traps getting triggered by survivors. This is a sign that your trap placement is poor, because you want survivors to trigger your traps. At one point in the video, which I encourage you to watch that whole video, and you can compare our playstyles between us. Pick any of my hag matches and then watch his, and watch another one of mine. You'll kind of see what I'm getting at here. But at one point in his video, he says that they're all crouching because they're scared, and he's talking to a Lori. Unfortunately, that's not exactly what's happening in this case. She doesn't know where he's at. She hears the terror radius, so she's trying to hide. She doesn't know where he's coming from. It's not that she's scared of the traps. She's in the terror radius and she wants to hide. So it's not exactly what he thinks is happening is not happening. For the majority of his match, all 10 of his traps are on the ground, or he has a few in his pocket. Now, this is good, and he mentions that there's a minefield out on the map, and he's absolutely right. The problem is that because he doesn't have a plan for the traps, he doesn't have a plan as to why and where he's placing them, none of those traps get triggered. They all get triggered at once because, they're random, but he didn't use the traps as effectively as he could have, and he ended up being a chasing hag for the majority of the match. Whether he did that on purpose or not, who can say? There really isn't much else to say about this video. We're really talking about random traps and placing traps with a purpose. It's very important and much more effective and much more time efficient if you place your traps with a plan. Because the idea is you want survivors to run into your traps, and you don't want to be surprised if a survivor runs into your trap because they triggered one that was out in the middle of nowhere. And maybe you can capitalize it, maybe you can't. Who knows? I really needed to kind of disagree with this advice, and then I thought maybe I could put this out there so that Tru can become a better hag player, because he does well, he does fine, but if he actually had a plan with what he was doing, he'd be so much better. Let me know what you thought about this. It's not something I plan on doing very often, but it was kind of fun, and it was something I needed to talk about. I don't know how many of his viewers, or even if he's gonna see this video, but I don't mean any ill will by it. I'd like him to become a better hag player, and stop giving bad advice about hag. I think I'll play a hag match tomorrow. Until then, I'll see you in the fog.